776 to Captain Samuel's sigils. When I was in boot camp, I started a fist fight over absolutely nothing and won. And I thought this was great. It was the first fist fight I'd ever won, and I thought, wow, this guy will never bother me again. But what I discovered was, instead of ending the conflict, I'd actually made a bitter enemy. And I woke up later that night in the barracks to this guy trying to stab me with a pen. A year later, I deployed to Iraq as a Humvee machine gunner, and I watched the two religious sects of Islam, the Sunnis and the Shia, go back and forth in this endless cycle of violent revenge. So one side would hit the other side with a car bomb, so that other side would retaliate with a sniper attack on civilians. So then the other side would retaliate with capturing people and putting them in a torture facility. And around and around and around it went, back and forth with the violent revenge. And when I got it back from Iraq, for my participation in all this violence and insanity with no end, my mind and spirit were in ruins. And so I had to spend a lot of time figuring things out. And while I was trying to figure things out, unfortunately, I was punished and excluded a lot by others. I was basically broken, thanked for my service, and then just kind of thrown away to the side of society. So I had to figure things out here. And so I spent a lot of time reading books on psychology, a lot of books on religion, a lot of books on philosophy. And through these, I basically was able to rebuild an ethical code for myself about how I ought to live in a way that doesn't hurt me and doesn't hurt others and makes the world a better place. And while I was kind of sifting through all of these ideas, I found a lot of really good stuff. But I also found a lot of lies and rigid ways of looking at the world which continue to hurt and exclude others even today. So I've taken all of these profound, painful experiences and done something creative with them. I've turned them into a novella called The Book of Deogenesis. It is the testimony of Aeyt, beast of burden and mutant warrior, in the service of the last remnants of humanity, which still war with each other, even though the planet has been knocked out of orbit by a superweapon. And the last factions of humanity, what is their plan to survive? Why, to rebuild the superweapon and redetonate it again. So Aeyt, who is a mutant creation of the humans, has to determine reality. Is existence an endless hell of war in a starless void? Or is there a power of compassion which can stop the endless turning of the cosmic wheel of pain? The novella is about the costs of war and the transformation from destroyer to redeemer. Now, my book isn't out yet, but I'll let you know when and where it becomes available, so when it's out, you can buy it if you'd like to. The manuscript is finished, and I'm just working with an artist now on some epic cover art. Cover art is important to me. I've got to have cool cover art, and so I've got an artist that I'm going to be working with to make sure that, if you buy it, it's going to look epic on your shelf. And also, you might have noticed from my thumbnails on YouTube, I'm not the best artist, and I think this is something that we better let somebody else handle. That way the book looks good and I can be proud of it. And even if my book doesn't sell well, the point of it was to express myself, to give voice to my voicelessness. If I make a few bucks off it, that's cool too. But really, I found the process of writing healing. And I just want to say, if you're a fellow booktuber who reads all this great speculative fiction, but you don't do much creative writing, I really encourage you to give it a try. You might find that it's really enriching and be surprised at how meaningful and enjoyable the creative writing process can be. Anyways, thanks for listening, and I hope you're doing well.